Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 167, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph, on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Sunday, July 5th, and it is 7:30 in the evening, and if I look tired, I am. I've been working outside pretty much all day, and I came in and showered, and I decided now would be a really good time to record because I'm clean and tomorrow is going to have to be an epic dyeing day, so that means I'll probably just get up and get started, and I don't tend to shower and put makeup on and do my hair in the morning when I'm just staying home to dye, so I wanted to get an episode out, so today seemed like a good time to do it. So I will try to not look like I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm not that bad, but I am exhausted. Physically, I am really tired. It's been a busy few days, and I don't know what's going on with my hair at this point. Whatever. And my beverage of choice this evening is Corona Light, because Corona, or beer in general, is usually my reward for having done a ton of outdoor work in the summer. Like that's pretty much the only time I drink beer is in the summer when it's really hot out, and if I'm doing yard work, like that's my reward when I'm done. I have a beer. I already had one and I was still really thirsty for one, so I'm having a second. I hope you don't mind. Darren was drinking beer on the Knitting in Circles podcast last episode, so he was probably drinking way more exciting beer than Corona Light though. But I like Corona Light, what can I say? I usually, if I'm out and I get it, occasionally I'll get beer when I'm out. I'll have lime in it, but at home I don't usually mess with the lime. I'm lazy. So anyway, wow, that was like a crazy diversion right off the bat. Thank you for being here. Nobody new introduced themselves in the welcome thread since I recorded last time, but if you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're here, and if you are returning, thank you for coming back. As I think I started last episode, I'm going to try to remember to say this every episode. Wherever you're watching me, you've obviously found me, but if you are looking for some other alternative place to watch me, you can find the podcast on my blog, which is fibernymph.com. It's on Podcast Garden, it's on iTunes, and it's on YouTube. So any of those places you can find it and watch it, whichever works best for you. And if you want to find out information about the podcast or about my yarn company, Fiber Nymph Dye Works, the best place to go is the Facebook page. We have a Facebook page called Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Go there. That's the best place to find information usually. There's also a 90% knitting group for both the podcast and for the Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn company. So look for 90-knitting if you're searching it for the podcast on Ravelry. And if you want to go to the yarn group instead, Fiber Nymph Dye Works, that's what it is, Fiber Nymph Dye Works. And I always put, well, I don't always, but when I put show notes up, I put them up in the episode thread on Ravelry in the 90% knitting group. So, okay, that takes care of all of our housekeeping. So let's move on to the knitting. It's been a while since I recorded. I don't even remember when I recorded last. It's been probably a couple weeks. I want to say it was maybe June 17th. I don't know. It's been over 2 weeks then. I have a finished object to show you, which I'm quite excited about. You know what? Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember what day it was that I recorded last, but I just know a week ago. Was it maybe a week ago today I finished this? So maybe I podcast. You know, this is going to bug me until I look. I'm going to look and see when the last podcast was. It was the 23rd. It wasn't the 17th. I knew it couldn't have been that long. So the 23rd would be about a week and a half. So that's not too bad. We'll go with that. Anyway, the 23rd was a Wednesday, right? I'm looking at a calendar over here. Tuesday. See, ever since I've rearranged my office, now my calendar's on this side of me, not on this side of me. It was a Tuesday. That following Sunday, I sat down and I just booked through the rest of my Verger shawl. I was getting towards the end and I knew I was running low on yarn and I was weighing it after every edge repeat and I had to start getting creative. And I was, if you watch Danny from Little Bobbins Knits, how she was doing the knit 3 togethers instead of knit 2 togethers at the end to, you know, consolidate and save some yarn. I started doing that. I knew I was going to have to eliminate 1 edge repeat. In the end, I ended up having to eliminate 2 edge repeats. So instead of having 48, I have 46. But it honestly, you cannot tell. So this is the Verger shawlette. The pattern is by Isabel from the Fluffy Fibers podcast. I knit this in my bedazzled base in the Thorin colorway. You can maybe see the sparkles up close. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm still working on lighting in here with this new setup. So I know it's not perfect. Oh, there, you can kind of see some of the sparkly. It's not all that wonderful. I've got 2 lamps on either side of me, one facing up to the ceiling to reflect down, and the other is my OT light, which is kind of reflecting off the wall, and then the ceiling light. So I don't know. I think the lighting is a little better than it was last time. Anyway, this turned out so well, and I'll tell you what, by that last few days of edge repeats, because I was just booking on it. I just wanted to get it done. I finally had most of it memorized and I was not making very many mistakes. But I definitely played yarn chicken because you see this? That's all the yarn I had left at the very end. That was it. It's about 8-10 inches maybe. So it has not been blocked, obviously, but I am really, really happy with it. This was a beautiful pattern. That edging is just gorgeous. I can't wait to see it once it's all blocked and opened up and everything. But I'm thrilled with it. I don't know, maybe if I put it a little closer to you, you can see it. I know I always struggle with this because it's a variegated colorway, so it doesn't show off the edging quite as well as a semi-solid would, but I think once it's blocked, you'll see it a little bit better. So the Verger is a finished object now, and I'm very happy. And I did that on US 5s for the body part, and then when I went to the edging, I used US 4s. So although at one spot I forgot I was using an extra needle, the US 4, and I just was knitting with both ends of my US 5 circular for, I think, a repeat and a half. You can't really tell, so I'm not worried about it. I definitely wasn't ripping it out. So Verger is finished. The other thing that took up a lot of my knitting time this past week and a half was my the Afghan that I'm making for Emma, because I am in love with this project, people. I cannot tell you how much I am enjoying it, and it is still being housed in my moose bag from the Silver Shed. It's, I think, going to start to outgrow it soon, because I'm probably going to have to keep the Afghan in one bag and the yarn in another bag. But you're going to be impressed with how much I got done. Last time you saw it, it was at about 10 inches. It's now around 24 inches. So here it is in all its chevron-y glory. And I am just having so much fun with this. I can't even tell you how much fun I'm having knitting this. I just love it to death. I'm already thinking about making like a baby size version of this, probably in different colors, not baby colors, not typical baby colors, but brighter colors, but like a lap blanket baby Afghan size for a sample for my table. It shows, just because I love it so much, and it's so much fun. It is really, really fun. Anyway, I am knitting this out of my cozy base, which is my superwash worsted, and I'm using 5 different colors. There is peacock blue, lime green, magenta, and vivid violet, and I decided to add in silver gray. Originally it was just going to be the 4, and then I added in the gray at the end. So, and I'm really glad I did, because that little bit of neutral in there, I think really, it works. It works well. And again, I wish I could show this to you. Oh, there, the colors are really good there. So, anyway, I'm not really following a pattern. The pattern that I kind of morphed this off of was the Modified Favorite Scarf Ever by Lisa Bruce. which is on Ravelry. I did not actually get the pattern. I can't remember if it was a paid pattern or not. I just looked at it, the pictures of it on Ravelry, and was able to figure it out. I've modified it quite a bit. I've made the repeats, more stitches. I've added a garter stitch edging to it, which I'm really glad I did because I like the stability that it's giving it, and it just gives it a little bit different look. Yeah, so it's not that pattern, but that's what it was based off of. I did sit one morning last week and I wove in a bunch of my ends because I'm not going to leave those all till the end. So you can see from like here on down to here, all the ends are woven in. So I did have a little bit of ends left. I was texting with my friend Melissa, who's Anansi on Ravelry, and I had showed her a picture of how far I'd gotten, and she was asking me like if I'm using like any particular pattern. It's like how am I choosing which yarns to use when? I'm really not. Like there is not really much rhyme or reason for this. I want it to be very random. So the colors are not going in any prescribed order. Nor are the widths of the color segments any specific order or pattern. I'm basically just doing it one color at a time. And like, so right now I'm on a silver gray. Prior to that, there was the peacock blue. Basically what I'm doing is I'll look back and I'll see, okay, so when was the last time I did silver? Actually, the last time I did silver was after peacock blue. That's not always the case. The last time I did it, it was 2 rows. So this time it's definitely going to be more. So I could do 4 rows, but the peacock blue that I just did was 4 rows. So I'll probably make it 6 rows just so that it's a little different. And that's sort of how I'm doing it. So then after I do the silver, I could do either pink, green, or purple. The last time I had a silver row, I did pink after, so I probably won't do pink. I'll probably do silver or purple. I could do the blue again, though, just to mix it up a bit. So that's sort of the way I'm doing it. It's just real, like, as I go, like, what feels like the next color would be right? What feels like the next width would be right, you know? I'm trying not to do the same width twice in a row. Although I think maybe I did, yeah, there is one spot where I did 2 garter ridges of the pink and then the gray. But for the most part, I'm mixing it up. So it's just a really, really fun project, and it's pretty much all I want to knit on now that I'm done with the Verger. But I'm doing other things too. My goal, I would love to have this finished for when I go to see her in August. I'll be going down kind of late August. It's actually the weekend after her birthday. I would love to have this done to give her for her birthday. Whether I will or not, I don't know. We'll see. I figured out that I need to do 1.5 inches a day, at least 1.5 inches a day, to have it finished in time to take down to her. And that's giving me like a few days in there where I wouldn't work on it. I think I'm definitely, like 1.5 inches is about 6 rows. Excuse me. Yeah, 1.5 inches is about 6 rows in the gauge that I'm getting, because I'm getting, no, that's not right. It's 8 rows. I'm getting about 5 rows per inch in this gauge. And I'm knitting this on a US 7. So that would be about 8 rows. 8 rows a day. And that's not undoable. It's usually the first thing I knit on in the morning. It's often the last thing I knit on at night too. So it's not undoable. And a lot of days I've gotten more than that 1.5 inches finished. So we'll see. I'm at about, like I said, 24 inches now, which is approximately 30%, a little over 30% finished. So we'll see. It might get done, it might not, but whatever. There's always Christmas. But I'd really like to give it to her for her birthday. Okay, what else? Did I tell you everything about that? I believe so. Yes. I showed you last time my my finished Turtle Pearl Girl, Turtle Pearl Yarns sock. This is her soft shell turtle toes base in the blueberry margarita colorway. It's just plain vanilla sock doing a regular heel flap. You saw this last week. So I was about, I don't know, how far was I? Did I say? I think I was about maybe 2 inches. Oh, I had cast on the second sock last time. I've changed bags too because I've been taking it with me places, and this squishes a little bit better than the other bag I had it in. So I had a cast on. So I have finished the cuff part and the heel flap and the heel turn. And I just dropped it. Sorry. Funny story here. Christopher and I went to see a movie last weekend. A week ago yesterday, we went to see Inside Out, which was actually really good. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was good. I liked it. Anyway, we went to see that. I am not someone who usually knits when I go to the movies. I rarely ever take my knitting to the movie. And if I do, I usually only knit like through that stuff at the beginning and the previews and stuff. Once the regular movie starts, I put it away and I don't knit. But for whatever reason, I decided to take this with me because I was kind of in I want to knit mood. And this was the easiest, most portable project I had on the needles. So I took it with me, and it was really very early on. I maybe had 1.5 inches, 2 inches of the cuff. And lately I've been making my socks about 6 inches. And I couldn't remember how long this cuff was on the finished one, but I figured, oh my gosh, I'm probably not going to get that much knitting done during this movie. Well, let me tell you, I got to like 6.5 inches, and then I came home and I measured this one and realized the cuff was only 5.5 inches. So, rip. I ripped out about 1 inch of cuff. Great. So, I did that, and the other thing I did during the movie is I dropped a stitch. I knew I dropped the stitch. Like in the movie, I knew that I dropped the stitch. And so I kept waiting for brighter scenes to come on so that I could sort of sit up like this and I could see what I was doing. And I managed to pick the stitch up. And I did it without it looking too wonky. I can actually still tell where it was, but it doesn't look horrible. Nobody else is going to see it if you're looking that close at my foot. And it's in the back right before the heel flap. So it's not a big deal. Anyway, so that was one thing. But the other thing was earlier on in the movie, I managed to increase by a stitch accidentally over on the side between my 2 needles. And I wasn't even worrying about that. I figured I'll just decrease it at some point. It doesn't matter. So anyway, once I was home and I forget where I was. I think I was out somewhere. I finally started the heel flap. Well, my normal rule of thumb for a heel flap is I make it as long as it is wide. So I have a square. Well, if you look at this, here's the heel flap. It starts here, and here's where the heel turn is. So that is way longer than it is wide. The heel flap on this sock is a little more than 2 inches long. This one is about 3¼ inches long. Not to mention the fact that when I did my heel turn, I had a total brain block, and I've always done these like by memory. I couldn't remember what the heck I was doing, so I have to rip that part out again. The heel turn and about 1 inch, a little over 1 inch of heel flap. I don't know why I'm having such problems with this particular sock. No idea. It's a plain vanilla sock. I shouldn't be having this many issues, but I am. Anyway, I told you the yarn, and I'm knitting it on my usual US 1.5s, although had I realized it was sport weight yarn when I cast it on, I would have probably used US 2s, but the US 1.5s are working fine, and I'm doing it on 52 stitches. Usually sport weights I do on 48 stitches, but again, I didn't realize I was working with sport weight and I was goofing around, and if you watched past episodes, you realize all that stuff. I won't go into it again. So anyway, that is that. I did cast something new on because once I finished the Verger, you know, you finish a project and that's like your license to cast at least one new thing on, right? I wanted to cast something new on, and I had a pattern. A lot of people are doing this pattern. You've probably seen it on other podcasts, and someone had gifted this to me, and I'm sorry I cannot remember who, but whoever you were, thank you very much. It is the Handbrake Cowl by Dan Jones, who's I'm not sure if it was just Dan or Kay helped too, but Kay and Dan Jones, they're from the Bakery Bears podcast. So here is, I'm going to try to show you a picture of the finished cowl without showing you instructions. So there's the cowl. It's just a really nice, easy, with a nice texture cowl. So I wanted to cast this on because I figured that would be, you know, an easy thing to do. I knew I wanted to make it long though, instead of just the normal size. I wanted to make it big enough that I could double it. And lo and behold, the directions actually have an option for that. If you want to knit a longer cowl, it tells you how to do that. So cool, awesome. It increases your yardage, obviously. I also decided I wanted to do it out of hand spun. I really want to knit more of my hand spun. So I pulled some hand spun off my shelf. And let me see if I can get the balls out of the bag. Oh, I have a new bag. This is another one of my Naughty Gnome bags. I got it since my last podcast. And this is her, I think it's like a bento bag theme. I'm calling it my sushi bag, even though there's probably, that's probably not accurate, but I love it. It's awesome. So anyway, I pulled out these two skeins of hand spun, and both of these are Briar Rose fibers that I spun a long time ago. This one I actually used once before for a shawl that I knit someone, but I still had some left. And this is, which one is this? Merino. This is merino, 100% merino, and it's got a fuzzy on the bottom. The other one is Cormo, and I'd never used it before, but the two kind of go together. I think they were probably dyed using similar dyes, and they coordinated well together. So my plan was to knit this using these two because I didn't have enough of either one of these to do the cowl, but I had enough with both of them together to do the long cowl. So what I'm going to do is I did the edging, you know, the band in one color, and then when I switched to do the first, it's a 10 row round repeat. The first 10 round repeat I've done, I switched to the merino. So now I'm on the second 10 round repeat, and I switched back to the Cormo. So my plan is to do this bluish one with the purple. It has purple in it. You can't see it as well right here. But the band will be in the Cormo, and then I'll go merino, and then there will be a section of Cormo, and then another section of merino, and then I'm going to do the other band in the Cormo. And that's all I'm going to do. I don't know how many repeats this actually calls for. I didn't read that far into the pattern. It says repeat them until it's approximately 7 inches, and that'll probably be 7 inches by then. So, yeah, so it'll be stripey, essentially. That's the deal. And I'm loving the pattern. I went down to US 6s. The pattern calls for 7s, and I thought this hand spun was a little lighter than it actually is turning out to be. But it's super squishy. Both of them are really, really squishy. This is stuff I spun quite a while ago, and not that I'm the most consistent spinner even now, but this was definitely, it has its thick parts and its thin parts. I mean, you can even kind of see that right there in that little segment of it. So I went down to 6s. 6s are a little snug, but it's definitely going to be dense enough to keep me warm, so that's good. I had to steal my 32-inch US 6 Dreams. I'm remembering them. They're the Knitter's Pride Dreams. That's the wooden ones. I will not forget that again. I had to steal them out of my mama vertebrae because they've been languishing in there. So I stuck the mama vertebrae on just a different set of needles for now and put a note. Remember to switch back to US 6s. Because I was trying to do this on 24-inch needles, and it was just way too many stitches and way too dense fabric to try to do that. So it's much easier on the 32-inch. So it's coming along. I'm really enjoying it. I actually kind of want to knit on it all the time too. And so it's like the blanket and this are both kind of vying for my attention. I'm just not sure how well the patterning, the purl stitch patterning is going to show up. Like yeah, you can't really, well, the lighting is probably part of the, part of the reason you can't see it. I can see it in person, but on the camera it's really not showing up. And that's okay. I don't even care if it shows up super well. I think when I take pictures of it, once it's blocked and stretched out a little bit, you'll be able to see it. But the coloring is so varied that it's just not showing up all that great. But that's okay. I'm happy with it. The one design modification I made on this pattern is the pattern calls for a garter stitch border. And if you've watched this podcast for very long, you know I'm not a fan of garter stitch borders. There's nothing wrong with them. I just don't particularly care for the look of them. I usually substitute seed stitch, and that's what I did. So, and I think it'll be fine. So that is my new project that is coming along lovely. And once again, thank you to whoever it was that gifted that pattern to me. The pattern is, it's for sale on Ravelry. I don't remember how much it is. They're in Europe, so it's not an American dollar amount anyway. But I do know that they're donating at least a portion of the proceeds. I don't know. Maybe it's everything. I don't know. To cancer research with the sale of that pattern. So it is a fundraising pattern. So anyway, what else? Spinning. I have been spinning. So we have the saga, the ongoing saga of those two bullseye bumps that were an experiment. I spun them both and then I wanted to ply them together. And I was having all the issues, didn't really like how they looked with the two light colors together. So then I broke that off and started spinning the dark end of one with the light end of the other one, and it was a little better. It still wasn't thrilling me. Well, here's the first bobbin, and at this point, it is getting to a point that I do kind of like it. Okay. I've still got another bobbin to go. The other bobbin is started. I can't finish it right now, though, because my sidekick broke. The footman assembly, which is the black, actually, I think I brought it in. This black piece that attaches, see, this little thing broke. This attaches, this end screws in, is where it screws into the treadle. And then this part screws into the pulley kind of, it's not a pulley, the thing that goes around. When the wheel goes around, it goes around, this goes up and down. This broke off. And I'm thinking it's probably just a normal wear and tear kind of thing because this whole thing is coated in a rubber coating. Well, see, this, it's flexible. It would have to be for the motion that it has to do. I don't even know how to describe this, honestly. Oh, you know what? I'm showing you the wrong end. This part, this goes on here. This part screws into the treadle. This part attaches to the thing that goes around in a circle. Sorry, I don't remember the name of it. But you can just see the plastic just, I think it's probably a normal wear and tear kind of thing for the way it's attached. This just fits in there and it came apart. I don't know. I need to order another one. I meant to do that last week and I forgot. I need to call the Woolery because I can't actually find this piece on their website just as something to purchase. I'm sure they have it because I think they carry stuff like that. So I'm going to call them and I'm going to order two because I figure if that one broke, the other one is probably going to break eventually. I've had my sidekick now since I got it like I think the winter before my first SSK. So this is going to be the 4th SSK coming up, right? So like about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So I don't know. Has anybody else had that break on their sidekick? I don't know. But anyway, all that to say, I can't do anything with my sidekick right now. So that spinning project is on hold, or that plying project, which is fine because I'm really not into it. I just want to get it done and off the wheel really at this point. But I moved over to my Traveler, my Ashford Traveler, which I love. I will always love my Traveler. I think she will always be my favorite wheel. And I decided to work on that 1 pound bag of what I had been calling my mystery fiber until I looked it up and realized it's Shetland Romney. It's a Shetland Romney cross, I believe, not just blended. At any rate, this is what the fiber looks like. It's showing up much more white. It's really kind of a pretty whitish gray. Maybe it's just a blend. I don't know. This was farm wool that I bought back in the spring of 2010. That was back before that was really back before I knew anything at all about different wool breeds. I was just like, oh, look, wool. I'm going to buy it and spin it. Actually, I think when I originally purchased it, I had the plan to dye it. I was going to try it because that was before I even had my shop, and I was tinkering with the idea of dyeing. I was going to over dye that, and I never did. And it's just been sitting in my basement, and then earlier this year I found it, and I'm like, I forgot I had this. It's beautiful. And I only have 1 pound of it, so it's not going to be enough to make a sweater because it would just look lovely. I think it would be the perfect color for an antler cardigan, which I really, really want to make at some point. But anyway, it's been sitting out by my wheels in my living room ever since I pulled it up from deep, deep stash downstairs. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to just try spinning that. That wasn't what I planned for my next spinning project to be. My next spinning project, I wanted to be just a fast and dirty spin, just a random braid of fiber. But since it was sitting out there, it was just sort of looking at me and calling to me that day. So I decided to spin it. Well, oh my gosh, am I glad I chose to spin it. It is turning out beautifully. I don't know if I can get it to focus for you or not. There we go. I am loving spinning this fiber. I can't tell you how much I'm loving spinning this fiber. First of all, I was surprised as all get out that it was this easy to spin after sitting in my stash for as long as it had. It was in this bag. I mean, this is the bag I brought it home from the little local fiber festival however many years ago. 5 years ago. It's been in that bag ever since. It's been sitting on a shelf downstairs. Now, granted, it wasn't like compressed or anything, but fiber after it sits around can sometimes just get a little wonky. It gets a little felted on itself, depending on the conditions. So I was just really, really astounded that this fiber was behaving as well as it was as I was spinning it. It drafts like a dream. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous to draft. It is. I have to say, this is probably the most pleasurable thing I have spun in I don't know how long. I am enjoying it so much. And I've done 5 bobbins. I have enough to do 1 more. Yeah, this was the first bobbin. I mean, they all pretty much look the same. I'm spinning it fairly consistently. It's spinning up fairly thin. I think once I ply it, it will probably be a sport weight. I'm going to say probably a sport weight. It's fairly consistent. I don't know why I'm getting these all out to show you. Just, I guess, because I can. And, okay, what are you attached to? You're on this bobbin. So, yeah. So these are my 5 bobbins of Shetland Romney goodness. And I measured them all today. I weighed them all. I had to go digging for some empty traveler bobbins. Actually, I've got a ton of them. Well, here I found a project bag that has 3 bobbins in it. One, I have no idea what the fiber is. It's something horribly nasty that did not spin well. I just need to get it off that bobbin and free up that bobbin. But I had 2 empty bobbins. But then I found, I think, 3 bobbins? No, 2 bobbins with this really beautiful green fiber that I had spun on it. And the rest of the fiber was also in the bag. So there's enough in the fiber in the bag to do 1 more bobbin. And so my plan, I'm assuming, was originally to do a 3-ply. I have no idea when I started spinning that. I can't even remember. No clue. But it's beautiful fiber, and I'm pretty sure it's also briar rose. I used to buy a lot of briar rose fiber back in the day. But it's definitely her color palette, so I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So at some point, probably after I finish this project, I'm going to spin the last of that and finish that and ply it because it's pretty. So I'd like to get that done. But yeah, I was weighing these, and each of these bobbins has between, the last one, the fifth one had only 71, but the rest of them have like 77, 82, or 90 grams of fiber. So altogether right now, and I'm assuming because before I spun the fifth bobbin, I did that this morning, I took the fiber I had left, I weighed it, and I split it in half so they were equal. So the second or the sixth bobbin should have also about 71 grams. So altogether I'll have 473 grams. 453 grams is a pound, so that is about accurate for that. So I don't know what kind of yardage I'll get. Definitely not enough to do a sweater. Now I did have a thought. I've got a lot of other natural fiber over there, and some that would probably coordinate really well with this. I don't know that I would put different colors of fiber together for the antler cardigan, but it could make another really pretty cardigan. So we'll see what I'll end up doing. But I'm just having so much fun. I don't want this spinning project to end. The other one I can't wait to have done. This one I'm just enjoying so very much that I don't want it to be over. So anyway, that's my spinning. Designing wise, I have great news. My Rambler cowl is finally published. Yay! I published it, I can't remember what day, shortly after I recorded last time. It is available on Ravelry. I've had it on sale half off, so it's normally $5. It's been $2.50. That was supposed to expire today, but I had anticipated recording prior to now, so I've extended that through to the 10th of July. So through July 10th, it will still be $2.50 if you are interested in picking up a copy of the Rambler cowl. And that is my beautiful assistant, Heather. She modeled for me. And here's another version of it. So anyway, I'm so glad to have that finally published. 3 months later than I planned to, but hey, you know, you do what you can do. And that's all I'm going to talk about with designing, because I don't have anything else new to tell you. Other things in the works, just nothing else to tell you. All right, the alphabet cowl. Let's talk about that, because our first month is over. Yay, you guys, you did awesome. Let me tell you some statistics here. Let me find my piece of paper. Oh goodness, what did I do with it? There were 463 points earned in June. There were, oh, I don't remember how many people participated. I can't even tell you, because some people didn't follow the directions and they posted individual posts for all their projects, and you were supposed to put them all in one, so the count is off a little bit. And I could look in the database, but I don't have it up, so I'm not going to talk about it now. Anyway, all of those of you who participated in June, thank you. You caught on for the most part. I'm going to talk a little bit about things that were wonky in the entries so that you can maybe avoid doing those in the future. But for the most part, everybody did a great job, and thank you, thank you, thank you for participating. I did do the drawings ahead of time like I told you I was going to do, just because it was going to be so complicated putting everything into a database and doing the randomization and all that stuff. But I do have winners, and hang on, because I need to pause and I need to go get the prizes. So just one moment. Okay, I grabbed the prizes. Just as a reminder, the prizes for June were this skein of Dharma Dye Works yarn in her Mermaid Tears colorway. It's fingering weight, along with these magic fix-it tools, or fix tools, little crochet hooks to pick up drop stitches. So that is one prize. A second prize is my bedazzled base in the Dragonfly colorway. And a third prize is $10 worth of patterns by Melinda Vermeer. And Melinda was the one who donated those. So there are $10 worth of her patterns that you can choose if you are the winner of that prize. So I did the drawings earlier today, and here are the winners. The winner for the Dharma Dye Works yarn and the Magic Fix tools, that was B. Mazenec, B-M-A-Z-A-N-E-C, who is Beth from Montana, and her winning entry fell in her, well, she was post 24, so if you want to go look at her projects, you can. It fell in her fruit stripe gum socks, because that's the thing, I can't just tell you, since there's multiple points for each project a lot of times, it's sort of a range. But anyway, the one that won, it was for the fruit stripe gum socks, which she did in the colorway Blue Moon. So, congratulations, Beth. Please PM me with your mailing address, and I will get your prize out to you. So, yay. All right. The Fiber Nymph Dye Works Bedazzled in Dragonfly. The winner for that was Beagle Mom Knitter, who is Angela from Virginia. And her post is post 47. That's where her entries were. And her winning entry was the Easy Eyelet Shawl, which she actually did out of some of my yarn in the Byzantine Gradient. So that won her 4 points. So anyway, congratulations, Angela. You have a skein of Dragonfly coming to you. I know I probably have your address, but please PM me with it anyway. It'll be way easier and faster. Lastly, the $10 worth of Melinda Vermeer patterns. That is going to Mitt, who was post number 32, and Mitt is in Norway. And her winning entry was the Da Vinci Cat Mittens made out of Drops Fable yarn. So there was 2 points for that one. It's funny because it's Da Vinci Cat Mittens, but it looks like she made socks out of them, unless I'm looking at the picture completely wrong. But anyway, so and she was, did I say post 32? Anyway, if you want to go look at the winning entries, please do. I had so much fun. I mean, even though it was a lot of work, like organizing the database so that I could do the drawing, it was so much fun looking at all of the entries and like reading all of the information about it, because usually for entries you just see pictures, but this was like I'm seeing the yarn people are using and the different colorways. It was really cool. I enjoyed doing that, so definitely worth the work, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Again, winners, please PM me. Mitt, I don't need your mailing address, just PM me to let me know that you won, and then I will send your information on to Melinda, and you two can get together and you can let her know what patterns you want, and she will gift those to you. So anyway, that's it for June. June is in the bag. And we will now move on to July. Let me talk about prizes for July, because I have not done that yet. Yarn prizes, there will be at least one, and right now it is a skein of my Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn in my Mega Base, which is my bulky base. I have a little bit of this in the shop yet. I'm not dyeing any more of it right now. I'll probably start dyeing that in the fall. I love this base though. Oh my gosh, it's so soft. I've knit a bunch of things out of it. Anyway, the colorway is So Berry Limey, so this would be a good yarn to use for August, because that is the S month. So just saying, the company wouldn't work, so you wouldn't get a point for that since it's an F company, but it's an S colorway. So anyway, this will be one prize. Another prize will be another $10 of Melinda Vermeer patterns, because she has donated that for every single month. Depending on how many entries we have, there will likely be a third prize, and it will probably, actually I do have an idea of what I want it to be. I'll tell you about it once I have it though. So I'm just keeping that on hold. But if there is somebody out there who has a yarn, knitting, crocheting, whatever related business, bags, stitch markers, pattern designs, yarn, fiber, anything like that. Well, probably not fiber, just because this is spinning isn't part of this knit along. But any of those other things, or any other knitting gadget that maybe that I'm not thinking of, and you have, your company starts with the letter G through L, and you would like to donate a prize for this month, it's not too late. Please contact me. I have a couple of things already donated for September, actually. I do not have anything donated at this point for August, except again the Melinda Vermeer patterns. So August is M through S, July is G through L. If you would like to donate something, I would love to offer it and tell people about your product. So just please PM me on Ravelry. Oh, the things I was going to mention, as I was going through and doing the database for the drawing, there were a few things that kept coming up that I had to disqualify entries for, and I hate doing that. Unfortunately, this knit along. It has a lot of work to it that I can, and I'm really, really busy. I can't keep up with all of the entries as they're going up. Early on in the month, I was trying to keep up with them, and then if somebody was doing something a little bit wrong, I would write to them and say, hey, can you modify your entry so that you have everything that you need in there, or whatever, or that really won't work, you can't use that. You know, I was trying to do that, but I can't. I cannot promise that I'm going to get to do that. So the guidelines, I know they're long, but they're really specific. And if you have any questions, you can PM me. I'll be happy to answer them. But just some things I do want to point out. Number one, I've had some questions about this actually. This wasn't something that I had a problem with in the entries that we had, but patterns that don't have a Ravelry pattern page. So that would include patterns that are in books, particularly probably older books, like maybe ones you find at the library. I had somebody ask me about this. She found, I don't know if she had a book or if it was something she gotten from the library or wherever, but the pattern itself was not in the Ravelry library. Can you use it? At this point, I have to say no. And I know that excludes a lot of patterns. However, I hadn't anticipated that as being an issue. In the future, if I ever do something like that, I will find a way that that will still be applicable. But for this knit along, I'm sorry, I have to say no. Same way, if you're knitting a pattern that is something either you're designing or somebody else is designing, but the pattern isn't finished and it is not up on a Ravelry pattern page, it does not qualify to be used either. And the reason for this, the reason I need there to be Ravelry pattern pages is because that's how I'm verifying that your entry is actually what it says it is. So I need that to be there. If you post an entry post that does not have all of the required information, that project will be disqualified. I can't make exceptions about that. Let me find this so that I can remind you of what the necessary information is. All information has to have a picture, okay, of your finished object. That's required. You are required to have a start date and a finish date listed for each individual project. If it's got a picture, that's an individual project. You need to have your start and your finish date. If you finished 3 things in one day, still put it individually for each one of those things. Don't just say, I finished these on this date. No, I need to see it because I can't go fishing around through the whole entry to try to find this information. The name of the pattern, that is required because that's the only requirement really for an entry, is that it has to fall within the right letter category. So those are the required pieces of information, as well as the points you earned for that project and your total number of points. That is also required. So those pieces of information absolutely have to be there. If you're claiming points for a yarn company name or a colorway name, obviously those things have to be in there as well in order to claim the points. But please, you have to have your required information or that project will not be applicable. Projects that fall outside of the alphabet range. There were a couple that actually started with the letter G. This wasn't the G month in June, it was July, so those won't count. And they won't count in July now either because you already knit them, so unless you do them again. And lastly, multiple posts from the same entrant. This is so important, okay? You're creating one post in the finished object thread. One post, okay? And then you're putting whatever your finished object is in it with all its information. When you have a second finished object, if you do, you're going back into that original post and you're editing it and adding the second finished project. And then you're amending your total points earned. All of your projects for the month need to be in one post, okay? I had a couple people who did not follow that rule, and so unfortunately, their first post, that project counted. Subsequent posts didn't. They have to be disqualified because that wasn't part of the rules. So, anyway, that was what I wanted to say about that. If you have any questions, again, please just PM me. I want this to be fun. I don't want it to be like rules, but there have to be some guidelines. And at this point, I don't want to change up guidelines midstream because we've already got a month down. I'm not going to do that. Okay, what else? New things. I already showed you my new bag from the Naughty Gnome. I got some new yarn. I had been looking at this, and it had, like, I kept going back to it. And when I go back to something multiple times, I usually know I need it. So, and I can't remember. I think maybe I saw this on Instagram first. If I didn't see this, I saw something else from this dyer, and then I went to her shop and looked and saw it. This is from Neely's Knits. Which is www.neelysknits.etsy.com. So here's her tag. And that's Super Sock. This is her Super Sock base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 400 yards. It's pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's the same base as my bounce base. At any rate, the colorway is Baby You're a Firecracker. And, you know, I don't do like red, white, and blue stuff very often, but I absolutely adored this colorway. I wish it would focus, and I wish I could get it to show you color better. It wants to focus on the picture back there. There we go. The blues and the reds, and there's some like whitish areas or light blue anyway, but then where the red and the blue comes together, you've got this awesome purple. Oh my gosh, I love this yarn. I have no idea what I'm going to make out of it yet. I think I want it to be socks, actually. It's probably going to be socks. It's just beautiful. And like I said, I kept going back to it, kept looking at it, and I finally just bought it. And then when she sent it to me, she included this cute little sample skein. And when I was in her shop, I had this in my cart, a full skein of this in my cart, and I took it out because I couldn't really buy 2 skeins. But this is her tortoiseshell cat colorway. And in her shop, if you look at it, she's got a picture of a tortoiseshell cat right next to the yarn. Okay, come on. You want to focus. You want to focus. Please focus. And it looks just like the cat. Oh my goodness gracious. It's such a perfect match for the inspiration picture. This is her BFL silk base. And this is just like a 43-yard little sample skein, but it's definitely, I'm going to put it in my little crochet Afghan blanket whenever I get back to that. Love it. And I will probably buy a full skein of this at some point in time because I just love these colors so much. They're awesome. So anyway, beautiful yarn. I have one other drawing, well, no, 2 other drawings, but one other drawing for this part of the podcast, and that was for the Color Wheel Knits book put out by Cooperative Press, and it was by Vera Velimaki. I had set up the drawing for that after the last podcast, and I just went ahead and did all of the drawings ahead of time this time since I was doing the ones for the knit along. So the one for the Color Wheel Knits book is going to Hoyt's Mama 1. I think it's Hoyt's Mama 1. Maybe that's just a line I wrote. I don't know. Lynn, Hoyt's Mama, you'll recognize that part. You are the lucky winner of the Color Wheel Knits book. So please PM me and let me know you won, and I will connect you with the people at Cooperative Press, and they will gift you that book through Ravelry. And the question that I asked for this drawing was, what is your favorite color of semi-solid yarn or solid yarn to knit with? And she said all shades of purple. And I agree. I love purples too. So anyway, Lynn, please let me know you won so that I can make sure you get your book coming to you. That's it for the 90% part. I feel like I'm probably forgetting something, but I always have that feeling, so we'll just pick that up next time. 10%, like I said, it was the 4th of July everywhere yesterday, but here in the United States, that's Independence Day. So, you know, there's lots of loud banging and noising and things, and people start that days in advance. You know, I love fireworks. I think they're beautiful, but the things that just make loud noises, I don't get. Like, how is that exciting? Our next door neighbors do tons of them. And so for 2 days prior to any holiday like this, there are like mortars going off next door to me. And I'm not a jumpy person, but it gets annoying. My poor dog, Muffin, she's skittery as it is, and she does not like those at all. I feel so bad for her. They don't seem to faze the cat, but, you know. Anyway, so last night, I went to bed early. I was so tired. I had friends over for dinner. We did a little cookout, a couple girlfriends. That was a lot of fun, and Christopher was here too. Um, but everybody was gone by 9, and I'm telling you what, by 9:30, I was in bed. I was exhausted, and it was like a war zone outside, and it didn't even faze me. I fell right to sleep. I was so tired. So anyway, but I hope you had a good 4th of July, and for those of you in Canada, I hope you had a good Canada Day last week, because I think Wednesday, July 1st, was Canada Day, so hope you had fun there. I honestly don't know what Canada Day celebrates. Is that kind of like an Independence Day sort of thing too? I should look that up. Or I know by now one of my many, many Canadian watchers, viewers is saying, it's about this. Post in the thread. Let me know, because I would love to know. I've always kind of assumed it was sort of like some sort of an Independence Day kind of thing. But maybe it's something totally different. I don't know. So let me know what Canada Day is all about, besides the fact that you get the day off work. What else? What else is going on? My house projects. I talked to you, I think, right before I recorded last time, or right after I recorded last time, I had my house pressure washed. So that's done. It made a world of difference. Oh my gosh. I wish I would have taken, I took some before pictures, but the stuff that was really dirty didn't actually show up very well in the picture, so I can't really show you before and after that you'd say, whoo. But looking at it in person, I'm saying, whoo, it really made a huge difference. I'm really glad I got that done. The latest big project was the storage tent. We've had a storage tent at the bottom of our driveway. It's like this big metal frame. I think it was like 12 by 24 size tent. That we put up 15-ish years ago, because prior to that, all of our lawn and garden equipment was stored on our back porch, so we couldn't use our back porch. So once, because we don't have a garage, so once the storage tent went up, then all that stuff went in there. And my ex had built like this big wooden platform so that it could extend out from the hillside, from the bottom of our driveways here, and then there's like a hill. So he built a platform going out so that it could be longer, and the tent could sit on it. It functioned wonderfully for the 15 years that we've had it, but over the last several, I would say the last 3 to 4 years, it's really started to show its age. It's had so much like moss and green stuff growing on it, and it had holes in it, and it leaked. And honestly, every winter over the last several winters, I'd look out there and I'd think it's going to collapse, like it's going to fall in, but it didn't. And then when we had to have the septic system put in a couple years ago, and that it got all excavated right next to there, because that's where we had to put the septic tank. The footings for that side of the tent got disturbed, and even though they didn't really directly get interfered with, it was enough that even once it was filled back in, the tent has slowly started to tilt downhill and to the side. And after every rain we've had lately, I keep thinking it's going to end up down in the garden. It's going to end up at the bottom of my yard. So it definitely needed replaced. It's needed replaced for a while. It's just one of those things that never got done. So that is one of my plans. I'm getting my driveway paved this summer. I think I mentioned that. But the tent had to go first because I'm paving all the way down to the bottom of the driveway, and the tent was covering part of the driveway. So that was a huge project over the past 4 days. Mainly today and Friday. But prior to that, I had worked on like relocating everything that was in the tent out of the tent. It's now housed on my back porch, but that's just temporary this time. And then Thursday had a huge burn day. My burn pile, there's been a lot of just junk wood, and I posted something on Instagram today about all of the crappy junk wood and stuff that I'm getting rid of, and people are like, oh, you should put it on Craigslist, people could use that. No, you don't understand. When I'm saying junk wood, I'm not just talking about leftover wood from projects. I'm talking about wood that has been laying either under the tent or like in the tent for years and years and years. It's rotting, literally. I'm not kidding about that. It's rotten wood, and it needs to be disposed of. So that's what I spent a lot of the time. We burnt a ton of stuff on Thursday, huge bonfire, which actually worked out well because my grandson was here that night, and there was a huge bed of really hot coals, so he had mountain pies for the first time. We did mountain pies for dinner. That was fun. But anyway, we got rid of a huge amount of the burn pile, including an old doghouse, like really old doghouse. We just sat it on the fire ring. It was literally the size of my fire ring, and just burned it. That was amazing to watch burn. Anyway, so that was Thursday. Then Friday, Christopher came over and he helped me dismantle. There was all these big metal shelves that had been put in the back of this tent. So we spent like 2 hours just dismantling these metal shelves, and he's scrapping the metal. So that was a big project. And then later in the day, a friend came over and we dismantled the rest of the tent. I cut the ropes that held it onto the metal framework. The heavy plastic stuff came down. That's going to go into the garbage. And the galvanized pipe frame, we dismantled it. And it's going to get scrapped. You know, it'll go to the scrap yard and be reused for something, I guess. I don't know how that works. But anyway, it's down. And so all that was left was the wooden platform part. Well, it's down now too. That's what I spent today doing. We did get it like off its posts on Friday, but today I was outside for hours and hours using all of my implements of destruction, my reciprocating saw, my circular saw, pry bar, and a lot of sweat. And I dismantled that thing, and it's gone, and all the wood is down in the burn pile. The burn pile is probably now bigger than it was originally. I'm so thrilled. It looks like a totally different area. It's great. I'm going to get some fill put in so that we can even out I can even out the hillside. But otherwise, it's just wonderful. I'm so happy that it's done. I can't even tell you. So a lot of work, but well worth it. And then on top of that, I ended up mowing today too, because it's supposed to rain the whole rest of the week. And I thought if I didn't, everything will be high again. So I'm really pooped at this point. But anyway, it's been good. And like I said, my grandson was here. Thursday was his last night here. Well, here at my house. I've been having him Thursday nights on to Fridays. So Friday was his last day. He went home yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, I think yesterday. Yeah, he's back home now. So that's it. I probably won't see him again for quite a while, but it was so wonderful having him here. It was a lot of fun, and he's just at a great age. 10 is a wonderful age, and he's chatty and smart, and we had just a lot of fun. Played a lot of alphabet game. We played the alphabet game a lot. That was fun with him because he thinks of the most crazy things for things. So anyway, that's it. And I'm running really long, and this is weird. I don't know why. I didn't think I had that much to tell you about. But anyway, for shop news, I also have a drawing for the shop segment, and that's the second quarter finished object drawing for the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. And I did that drawing as well. The winner of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works second quarter finished object, which is the $25 gift certificate to the shop, was I Own a Paint, who is Christine, and her post was number 25. And I thought I didn't write down what she had done. It was actually both a spinning and a knitting project, because she had spun a purple pandemic gradient in BFL and then knit it into a striped study shawl. So that was kind of a twofer. She could have put it in there twice if she wanted to. At any rate, maybe she did post the fiber too. I don't know, but the shawl was the winner. So I Own a Paint, Christine, please PM me and let me know you won, and I will get your $25 gift certificate to you. So thank you for participating in that. The July minis of the month went up, and they are still in the shop. They went up July 1st. This is the colorway. I believe I showed it to you last time. There are 5 left. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Let me just go check real fast so that I'm not telling you the wrong thing. The colorway is plumage, by the way, and then the self-striping is plumage, and the semi-solid is flashy yellow. They were inspired by the peacock plumage. Yes, there are still 5 left. So if you are interested in one of those sets, go ahead to the shop and you'll find them there. And lastly, there will be a shop update on Sunday, July 12th, so a week from today at 4 p.m. Eastern. I do not have anything ready to show you. I have some stuff dyed for it. It's not been reskeined. And I will likely not podcast again prior to the update. What I will try to do is maybe just do a very short shop preview video later this week once I do have stuff reskeined to show you. I will try to do that. If I don't get around to doing that, please look in the shop later this week. I will have everything up in preview mode. I will post on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Facebook page about stuff. But I will really try to do a preview video, just a shop update preview video. I used to do those occasionally. I haven't done one in a long time, but it just wasn't lining up for me to be able to do podcast when I would have the stuff done, and I needed to record. So sorry about that, but yeah, got to work with things when they happen. So anyway, all right, that's everything. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.